What if a single frequency could repair the very blueprint of your existence? Not a drug, not a surgical procedure, not a gene therapy protocol developed in $1 billion laboratory. A frequency, a specific vibration, measured at exactly 528 cycles per second, that some researchers claim can repair damaged DNA. It sounds impossible. It sounds like something pulled from the fringe, but there is actual peer-reviewed science behind it. And the deeper you dig, the more the line between ancient spiritual practice and modern molecular biology starts to blur in ways that nobody expected. Let us start with the frequency itself. 528 hertz. In the world of music, it sits between the notes C and C sharp. It is not a standard tuning frequency in modern Western music, which is built around 440 hertz as the reference pitch. But in an older system of tuning, one with roots that trace back to medieval Gregorian chants, 528 hertz occupies a central position. This older system is based on what are called the Solfeggio frequencies. If you have ever heard the syllables do, re, mi, you are already familiar with the scale they come from. The original Solfeggio scale, as documented by Guido d'Arezzo in the 11th century, was derived from a Latin hymn to St. John the Baptist. Each line of the hymn began on a successively higher note, and those notes, when measured, correspond to a specific set of frequencies: 396, 417, 528, 639, 741, and 852 hertz. These frequencies were used in sacred music for centuries. Then, around the 16th century, the Western tuning system was altered. The reasons are debated. Some argue it was a practical decision to simplify instrument construction. Others claim it was more deliberate. Regardless, the original Solfeggio frequencies fell out of common use. They were largely forgotten until a researcher named Dr. Joseph Puleo rediscovered the mathematical patterns in the 1990s. Now, here is where it gets genuinely interesting, and where we need to be careful to separate verified science from speculation. In 1998, a biochemist named Glen Rein conducted a series of experiments at the Quantum Biology Research Lab in New York. Rein exposed samples of human DNA to different types of music and isolated frequencies, then measured the rate of ultraviolet light absorption. This is a standard laboratory technique for assessing DNA integrity. When DNA is healthy and properly wound, it absorbs UV light at a predictable rate. When it is damaged or unwound, the absorption rate changes. Rein found that music tuned to the Solfeggio scale, particularly 528 hertz, increased UV absorption by up to 9%. In biochemistry, this suggested that the DNA was winding more tightly, becoming more intact. Conventional rock music had the opposite effect, slightly unwinding the DNA. Rein published these results, and they have been cited repeatedly in the sound healing literature. But we need to hold this finding in context. The experiment was small. It has not been replicated at scale by independent laboratories under rigorous double-blind conditions. That does not mean the results are wrong. It means we do not yet have the volume of evidence that mainstream science requires before it accepts a finding as established fact, and yet dismissing it entirely would also be premature, because the broader science of how sound and vibration affect biological systems is far more established than most people realize. Let us talk about cymatics for a moment, because this is where the physical reality of frequency becomes visible. Cymatics is the study of visible sound vibration. When you pass a sound wave through a medium like water, sand, or fine powder, the particles arrange themselves into geometric patterns. Different frequencies produce different patterns. Low frequencies create simple shapes. Higher frequencies create increasingly complex, intricate geometries. Some of these patterns look strikingly like biological structures, cellular formations, flower-like mandalas, and spiraling vortices. This is not mysticism. This is physics. Sound is a mechanical wave. It moves matter. And when it moves matter in a consistent, repeating pattern, that matter self-organizes into structure. The question that researchers in this field are asking is whether the same principle operates at the cellular level, whether the vibrations that pass through your body, from sound, from music, from your own voice, influence the organization and function of your cells. There is evidence that they do, and it comes from a surprising direction. In the early 2000s, researchers began studying the effects of low-frequency vibration on stem cells. They found that specific mechanical frequencies could influence how stem cells differentiate, whether they become bone cells, cartilage cells, or fat cells. This was published in journals like PNAS and Nature. The mechanism is called mechanotransduction, the process by which cells convert mechanical stimulation into biochemical signals. Your cells do not just respond to chemical inputs, they respond to physical vibration. This means the idea that sound frequencies can influence cellular behavior is not fringe. It is documented biology. The fringe begins when specific claims are made about specific frequencies without sufficient experimental backing. But the underlying principle, that vibration affects biology, is solid. Now let us go deeper, because the connection between sound and healing is not a modern invention. It is one of the oldest ideas in human civilization. Ancient Egyptians used vowel sound chanting in their healing temples. Specific resonant syllables were intoned in chambers designed to amplify and focus sound. The dimensions of these chambers suggest an understanding of acoustics that was far more sophisticated than simple chanting. The rooms were tuned, shaped to resonate at specific frequencies, creating an immersive sonic environment that the body would absorb. In India, the tradition of Nada Yoga, the yoga of sound, is thousands of years old. It is built on the concept that the universe itself is fundamentally vibrational, that all matter is condensed sound. The Sanskrit term Nada Brahma translates roughly to "the world is sound." Long before quantum field theory described matter as excitations in underlying fields, Indian philosophers described reality as patterns of vibration. Tibetan singing bowls, Aboriginal didgeridoos, Native American drumming circles, all of these traditions share a common insight. That sound, applied with intention and consistency, can alter states of consciousness and promote physical healing. Modern research into the relaxation response, heart rate variability, and cortisol levels during sound therapy sessions is beginning to quantify what these cultures have practiced for millennia. But let us come back to 528 Hz specifically. Why this frequency? What makes it special? Proponents point out several intriguing connections. The molecular vibration of oxygen, which makes up 65% of the human body by mass, resonates near this frequency band. Chlorophyll, the molecule that allows plants to convert sunlight into energy, absorbs light at a wavelength that corresponds to the color green. And 528 Hz is sometimes called the love frequency, partly because of its association with the color green in light-to-sound frequency conversions. These connections are suggestive rather than definitive, but they form an interesting pattern. There is also research on water. Masaru Emoto's work photographing water crystals formed after exposure to different words, music, and intentions is widely cited but scientifically controversial. His methodology has been criticized for lack of proper controls and potential for experimenter bias. However, more rigorous studies by other researchers have shown that the molecular structure of water does respond to electromagnetic and acoustic frequencies. Given that the human body is roughly 60% water, the possibility that specific frequencies could influence the structural organization of water in your cells is at least physically plausible. So where does this leave us? Is 528 hertz a miracle frequency that can heal your DNA? The honest answer is that we do not know yet. The early evidence is intriguing. The theoretical framework involving mechanotransduction, cymatics, and cellular response to vibration is scientifically grounded. But the specific claim about DNA repair at 528 hertz needs more rigorous testing before it can be stated as fact. What we can say is this: the idea that sound is biologically inert, that the frequencies passing through your body have no effect on your cells, is almost certainly wrong. Your cells are mechanical systems. They respond to vibration. They respond to pressure. They respond to rhythm. The question is not whether frequency affects biology. The question is, which frequencies, at what intensities, for what durations, and through what mechanisms? And perhaps there is something deeper here, something that connects the ancient traditions with the modern research in a way that neither fully captures on its own. The ancients did not have molecular biology. They could not measure DNA absorption spectra. But they had something else: thousands of years of accumulated observational data about what sounds made people feel better, heal faster, enter deeper states of meditation. They were empiricists working without microscopes, and their conclusions, that specific frequencies have specific effects on the human body and mind, are now being investigated with the tools they never had. The boundary between sound and silence, between vibration and stillness, between science and spirit, may not be a boundary at all. It may be a spectrum, and the frequency that connects them might be the one that has been humming through sacred music, through the molecular vibrations of the air you breathe, through the cellular machinery of your body, for longer than anyone realized. The research is not finished, but the question has been asked, and that question, whether the universe is built from vibration and whether the right vibration can heal, might be one of the most important questions science pursues in the coming decades.